Merry Christmas, actually, and we are ready to start all our holiday celebrations. I know that what I do and have done for many years is I bake 9 million cookies, but so does everybody else. Cookies and candy, and then we give that off to our friends. I'm doing something different this year. I'm going to bake bread. Who doesn't love a loaf of absolutely beautiful homemade bread? So I'm doing it for two reasons. My daughter-in-law is here. She's actually doing the filming. Say hi.
Hi.
That's Danielle. And she wants to learn how to make this because her little guys, my 3 beautiful grandsons, love my bread. So it's very easy to make, and what I'm making here is a sandwich loaf, and it's a white honey sandwich loaf. Absolutely delicious. Super easy to make. But there are some things to be careful of. We're going to start out with 2 cups of water. The water temperature is important. Stick your finger in. If it would be at the right temperature that you would give this to a baby to drink, it's good enough for the yeast. 2 cups. Then we have 6 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of honey. This honey really works in this recipe. I don't know if you have one of these little spatulas. When I saw them, I thought, oh, I'm going to buy them, but I'm probably never going to use them. I use these things for everything. All right. And then the yeast, 4½ teaspoons of yeast. Now what we're going to do is just mix this up, and we're going to let it activate here. We want to make sure at this point that we have got good yeast and not yeast that has died. And you will know because it will start bubbling very, very soon. Okay, that's the way it looks right now. And I will show you very soon when it starts activating and what you're looking for in there. If you're going to have yeast that's not going to work, it's better to know at this time rather than, 3 hours later when you're trying to get bread to rise and it won't rise. All right, now in our mixer, I'm using a mixer, but if you don't have a mixer, not to worry, you can still do the bread, okay? You're just going to get a bowl and you're going to do exactly the same thing that I'm doing here, but I'm going to show you how to knead it if you don't have a mixer. But for right now, we're going to do it this way. So I have 2 eggs that are going to go in. Four tablespoons of butter, and I have soft butter here. Two teaspoons of salt. Look, got an eggshell in there. And then we're just going to mix this up just to get it kind of incorporated. Get those eggs in. I didn't get the shell out. Oh, there. Okay. That would not be pleasant. And here I have 6 cups of flour. This is going to make 2 loaves, okay? If you just want to make 1 loaf, just cut everything in half. But it takes the same amount of time to make 2 as it does to make 1. And they freeze beautifully. So I always make 2. So 6 cups of bread flour. Has to be bread flour. No all-purpose here. And I like doing it in increments because it just mixes better. All right, now you can start to see, I don't know if you can see it, but along the edge, do you see all those little bubbles? That's telling me my yeast is good. Now, if you just left it here, it would just continue to build and build and grow, and it's really a beautiful thing to watch. But we know it's good, so we don't have to do that. So we're going to go ahead and pour it in. And I like to get all that stuff up from the bottom that always likes to sit down there. Baking bread is really not difficult. It's really not difficult. If you understand the things that can absolutely kill it, because I will tell you, probably for the first 3/4 of my life, I tried to bake it and I couldn't figure out how to do it, and there was no one to teach me. We didn't have YouTube then. Oh, it was so frustrating. But now I bake all kinds of breads, every kind imaginable. So once you learn just the basics that you're learning right here, temperature of the water, temperature of the eggs that are going in, active yeast, once you learn those things, the rest is child's play. While I'm waiting for this to incorporate, I will tell you about my pretty earrings. Come here, daughter-in-law, show them my pretty earrings. For those of you that have watched all of our videos, you know, I think you probably got a sense of the fact that cameraman is a little bit more conservative than I am. So when I bought these earrings, he looked at them and he said, "You're not really going to wear those, are you?" I said, "I'm going to wear them every day until New Year's Eve." And I did, and I still do because I love them. But they're pretty. All righty. But I think a loaf of bread with some homemade jam and a beautiful ribbon would be a nice gift. Okay, I want you to come here and look at this. Do you see how all of that flour has been pulled away, most of the flour? So right now what it's doing is it's hydrated. And what we're going to do now is we're going to let this knead for 10 minutes. It's going to knead for 10 minutes like at a medium speed, okay? I've got to hide it. Beating the dough. And then I will show you when I get this out, in case you don't have a mixer, I will show you how to knead it by hand. But very easy to do. It just takes a little bit more time. All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, well, our 10 minutes is up, but I want you to come and kind of take a look at how the dough is acting at this stage in the mixer. Do you see how it's pulling away from the side, but not 100% pulling away? That's what you're looking for. Now, there are certain tools that you're going to want to have. Do you need a $300 machine to do this? No, you don't. But do you need about a $1.50 little bench scraper like this? Yeah, you do. It's going to make life so much easier for you. Now, there's different types of bench scrapers. This is one which I use all the time. Very solid, okay, metal, which it has its purpose too. But these are very flexible. So I'm going to show you how important it is to have them. So we're going to get our dough out of here. And this is where you kind of look at your dough as well. Sometimes depending on humidity, rain, heat, whatever it is, your dough will act a little bit differently. So if it doesn't look like it's setting up, maybe it's a little bit too liquidy, add just a little bit more flour, but do it gradually. Don't do it all at once. Now what we're going to do is dust this a little bit, and this is where this scraper will come in so handy. We'll let gravity help us. And yes, it is a sticky dough. This is what it will look like. Don't panic. We're going to make it better. You want to dust your hands a little bit. And what you're going to do is just knead it a little bit. You're going to get rid of some of that stickiness. And if you don't have a mixer, what you're going to do is you're going to pull it and push it out with the palms of your hands. Push it out, pull it in. Rotate it, pull it out and push it in. So you're going to be starting with it just like it looked at the beginning of that mixer, and you'll just work it for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes until you get it to this stage. Do you see? And I can tell you guys, because I make this loaf so many times, I can tell you right now, this one is delicious. And you'll be able, as you get used to working with dough, you're going to know when you have made an incredibly good dough, or sometimes quite not so good. Yeah, happens to me too. That's just part of it. Now what I did is I took the bowl that I'm going to be letting this rise in. I took the bowl and I put it in my oven at 200 degrees for just a few minutes. And then I shut the oven off. Be sure you shut the oven off. So my bowl is really warm. So what it's doing right now, it's going to help the yeast to activate even better. You're going to spray the inside of your bowl a bit. Pick your beautiful dough up. See, it's not even sticky anymore. That little bit of kneading did it. Come on in so that they can see. So here all I did is I just kind of flipped it around, so I've got a little bit of oil everywhere. I'm going to take some plastic wrap, and I want it to be very tight on here. I want to hold all the heat in. Just like that. All right. Now we're going to let it rest in a draft-free area. I always leave it in my oven. And if you have it in your oven with just the light on, it's probably about the right temperature. If it's warm in your house, if it's 75, it's fine to leave it on the counter. But just be sure you don't have any cold activity around it. That's most important, okay? So 1 hour and we will be back, or when it has doubled in size. See you in an hour. Well, just look at this, will you? And you notice how this has puffed up because we've been holding so much heat in there, and I can feel it release, and look at that gorgeous dough. That is beautiful. It has risen double. And so now what we want to do is we want to pull it out onto a floured surface. Oh, this dough is gorgeous, you guys. Now, we're going to cut it in half. Remember I told you we were making 2 loaves. I think it needs to be kind of important that it absolutely is as close to even as possible. So I am going to weigh this. If you don't have a scale, you can eyeball it. But truly, you guys, if you're going to do any kind of cooking, the scale is so important. It really is. And they're only like $15. They're not expensive. All right. And I think I eyeball it correctly most of the time, and I never do. Okay, 690. Oh, this is going to be bigger. Got it. All right. So now I know that they're going to cook and bake at the same time, and you don't have one that is, you know, going to be under-baked and the other one over-baked. Now this is an important part, okay? So I want you to pay close attention here. What we're going to do is we're going to roll this into a ball. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is I'm using the heels of my hand, and what we're doing is we are tightening the ball. We want to get a skin over it, but we're tightening everything inside. So you're going to pull it towards you and roll it. Pull it and roll it. Danielle, get a little bit closer so they can actually see all the way down onto here if you can. Okay, so you see my hands are like this, and do you see how it's pulling this, can you see that? How it's actually pulling it, and you can feel it when you're doing it. You can feel that you're doing it correctly, and what we're doing is we're just tightening the inside of that ball, and that's going to be important for your bread. Nothing here is complicated. It's just these little steps. If you take the time to do the little steps, foolproof, then you have foolproof bread. We're going to want to allow it to rise in the shape that we want to cook it, bake it. So I have got some bowls here. And you can do this, and these are actually for bread, but you don't have to go buy them. You can put it in any kind of a bowl, it'll be just fine. Okay, so this one is tight. I can feel that skin. So we're going to just place it in there very nicely and work on this one. Just going to do exactly the same thing. Tighten it up. You will be able to feel this as you're doing this when it's starting to get tight. And I know you're probably thinking, how am I going to know if I've never done it? Just trust me. You can always trust Grandma. All right. And we're just doing that so it doesn't stick. Okay. I'm just going to give it a little squirt, simply because we just don't want it to dry out. It's the only reason we're doing that. And then here you're going to want to put a cloth over it. And this is an actual baker's cloth. If you want to buy one, you can, but if not, just get a terry cloth towel or something. And again, you want to keep it away from draft. We're going to let this rise at least 30 minutes, but we're going to check at 30. It may go to an hour, okay? What we're going to do now is preheat our oven at 375 degrees. I'm going to preheat it for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how long this bread is going to take to rise as much as I want it to rise. Because when you preheat an oven, just when it goes ding that it hit 375, doesn't mean it's that total temperature throughout the oven. I want to make sure this is really hot. This is going to go in because as we put the bread in, we're going to throw ice cubes in here. It's going to be scorching hot, and what is that going to do? Create all the steam. The steam is going to give us that beautiful crust on the top. Do you have to do this step? No, absolutely not. You don't have to do it. But if you choose to, it makes a nice crust on your bread. All right, we will be back in 30 minutes to 45 to an hour, depending on what that'll take. Bread has risen beautifully. It's just a little bit above. You can also do it in here, raise them in here, which I do a lot of the time. Either way is just fine. Now we're just going to transfer. They transfer ever so easily. Just like that. Then we want a little bit of butter on the top. So what you want to do is you want to be able to score this just a little bit, because you want the you want to be able to control where that air is pushing out. And if you don't, it can come out of the sides or everywhere else. So I'm just going to score just a little bit here, a little bit here. And then we're going to put it into the oven but we also have the ice ready. So this is what I'm going to do. That oven is very hot. And that steam is going to help that just rise and be golden and be beautiful. So we're going to leave it in here for 30 minutes, okay? And then when that 30 minutes is up, you're going to want to slice it and eat it immediately, but you can't. You can't. You really have to let it cool down a little bit. So we will wait 30 minutes. We'll bring it out. Then I will show you the beautiful loaves that we have made. Then we can have a little bit of a taste test. Okay? We'll be back. Well, we just took them out of the oven. It took an extra 4 minutes, so they were in there 34 minutes. You can always tell when they're ready when you hit them and you hear that hollowness. That's telling you. And also, if you're particular, you can stick a thermometer in there at 190 internal degrees. They're done. Okay? Now we're going to leave them here in the pans for just about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to dump them out, and then they're going to just cool down a little bit before we cut them. I like to cool them down at least a half hour. At least a half hour. It gives all of the gluten the ability to stay where it's supposed to stay, rather than when you cut it and it's too hot, it just collapses everything. It's not nearly as good. So give us a few minutes and we'll be doing a taste test. Okay, it's time for the taste test, and I couldn't think of any better tasters than my 3 grandsons. Michael, Matthew, Maverick. Each one of them has done their own video, so you might want to watch those as well. All right, now, Maverick asked first if he could have the first bite, and I said yes. Now, you guys, when you taste test, what were we going to say? You can have the second bite. When you taste test, you have to tell the truth. Oh, and then I always think this is a beautiful gift if you give some stuff with it. You know, I would definitely give, here I've got apple butter and I've got strawberry jam.
I love apple butter.
You love that apple butter? Are you ready? Now, before he tastes this, I want you all, Mama, come in and take a look at this. Look at how beautiful the interior of that bread is. It is absolutely gorgeous. All right, now, did you want some strawberry jam, or you wanted just straight up bread?
Strawberry jam.
All right. Tell the people.
That's good. Apple butter. Can I finish it?
Can you what? Can you finish it? Of course you can.
Of course I can, Mr. Sorry. Apple butter is so good.
This is apple butter.
Apple butter is
I
really
also
good.
have a recipe for the apple butter, you guys. It is, you tell them how good it is.
It's really good. It's so good. My turn.
Your turn.
It's so good, guys. Without anything.
You want it just
make
plain?
one plain. It's right there.
Okay.
You need to make
So
this
he
bread
can-
and like and subscribe.
You can what?
I said you need to make this bread and like and subscribe.
Did you guys hear him?
It's so good.
It's so good. Okay, Grandma gets a taste.
Maverick, can I taste it like that?
Oh man,
That
that's
good,
delicious.
yeah.
Here, I'll give you some of this.
Remember to leave a like and subscribe. I literally just said that. No, really?
That's all right. They can hear it many times. So, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Ingredients will be below. This, you guys, is really, really delicious bread, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right, so everybody say goodbye to the good people.
Bye.
Bye. Come back. See us again. which is making me very sad.
Like and subscribe.
But what?